And a good summer Thursday morning, Birds fans. Last summer Thursday, we'll say, because next Thursday, the Eagles will actually be on the field getting ready for the 2023 upcoming season. You got Mac here, John McMullen, and Jody McDonald. And yesterday, John, as I've got my eye on whatever's going down in the world of sports, specifically in the NFL, you saw a trade, Jets moving Denzel Mims, a guy who at one time Eagle fans wanted to see the Birds pick in a draft a couple of years ago. Didn't happen. A contract extension for Highsmith of Pittsburgh. Had a big sack year, 14 and a half last year. They got him locked up to a contract extension and a free agent signing. The MVP of the USFL. Are you a big McGruff fan?
Alex, Alex McGew. I don't even know what team he was on, but
is it Magoo? I thought the
McGruff the crime dog.
Yeah, McGuff. If you tell me it's Magoo,
I think it's Magoo. Whatever.
Sorry, did you watch?
I didn't watch any USFL. I'm an XFL fan, so
yeah,
I'm an XFL guy.
I would.
When it comes to spring football, I'm an XFL guy.
I, too, would put the XFL ahead of the USFL, which means I would have needed to watch 5 minutes of the XFL, which I think I did. So that would mean I watch more XFL than USFL. But the MVP of the USFL signed as a potential backup quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. And I said, damn, Howie hadn't done anything in a couple of weeks. I know nothing massive's going to happen. But can he give us that throws a bone? Give us a little something to chew on? And sure enough, before the day was over, an ex-Eagle returns to the nest. Dennis Kelly back in Eagle Green, and yeah, he doesn't go back.
They righted all the wrongs, Jody. That was a bad trade for the Eagles. In hindsight,
it really was. Not that Dennis Green went and made Pro Bowls while in Tennessee, but he stuck around there for half a decade, was a starter on an offensive line for some pretty good teams, and I'm still waiting for Dorial Green Beckham to have that breakout season he was supposed to have here in Philadelphia. So, yeah, it was a bad trade. I don't know if I'd go down the righted the wrong.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yeah,
no, I still think that, I said this about the Robert Quinn trade. I still like the decision because Dennis wasn't going to make the team that year or is going to have a really difficult time. So you take a shot at the time, a position of need with a talented guy, and it didn't work out. But I get the thinking. But yeah, Dennis Kelly's one of those guys. He's stuck. This guy's been here for 12 years in the NFL, man. I mean, that's not nothing. And he's 33 now, and he's on his way back. And that was just a little tongue in cheek about righting all wrongs, but. When you last in this league as long as he has, you're valuable. And he can play every position but center, mainly going to be brought in to be a swing tackle. Or, the Eagles went about it last year very interesting. Most teams have a swing tackle, interior guy backup on game days. The Eagles sort of had a right side backup, Jack Driscoll, and a left side backup, Andre Dillard. And they did it differently than most teams. What it tells me right off the bat is they don't have confidence in guys playing left tackle if Jordan Mailata goes down. So I don't know if they're comfortable with Jack Driscoll on that side. The young guys, that's a very bad sign for the young guys. The Brett Johnsons, the Roderick Johnsons that most fans don't even know. I joked about Jordan Mailata talking about those guys in the offseason, couldn't even remember their names. That wasn't a good sign. And I always say the one thing about spring is, and not just the Eagles, but around the league, when it comes to younger players like that, and they get to look at them, even in the limited fashion they do, and they go, oh, okay, we need an upgrade here. We need an upgrade there. And you see it happening all over the NFL. And the Eagles felt they needed an upgrade as the depth on the offensive line. The depth took a hit. They were very, very comfortable. Now, they knew you can't keep Andre Dillard. Can't keep it. but they were very, very comfortable with the fact that he was the backup. And now they're not comfortable, and they're trying to get more comfortable.
And as you pointed out, the decision comes down before they even show up in camp. I thought the Eagles were going to bring in a veteran offensive lineman, but I thought it would wait at least until they got into camp and maybe even played one of their preseason games. Like, you're there. I'm not. You see the drills that they go through. I'm not going to call it practice because it's not practice, because it's not even 11 on 11. It's just some individual drills, non-padded individual drills where you're basically judging footwork, but not how you can actually block somebody. I think it's kind of tough to make a call there. You have complete and utter faith that Jeff Stoutland is going to be able to view these guys and put an evaluation on them and tell you whether you do or don't need an upgrade at that position. I thought they'd at least wait into camp to give some of the guys that you mentioned, the young guys, the guys who have been in the league but just recently became Eagles, a chance to show that they are good or not good enough to be backups in this league. They didn't even wait. They went out and got a guy like Dennis Kelly. At this stage tells you that those guys were swimming an upstream battle to begin with, that the Eagles have kind of been waiting on this and looking at this all along. What do you read into the timing? I read that, yeah, it's not as good as maybe some people made it out to be before they ever show up for camp. Maybe they did judge off spring work. What are you reading the timing that just happens to be right before they show up at camp? That's when they reach out and sign a guy like Kelly.
Well, if you think a couple years ago with Steven Nelson for a more prominent role, I think there's a certain degree for guys like at Dennis Kelly's stage, part of it's their part of the equation in that he doesn't want to, he doesn't want to do off-season work. He's been in this league for 12 years. Take the summer off, and then training camps are about to start, and figure out where you want to go. Part of it's player related, and then, as I said, you start looking. Everybody goes on vacation. They come back and they start to talk about what happened in the spring and where we need extra help. And we've all talked about there's higher profile positions. Still think they might do something in linebacker, more than safety, but even safety. And backup offensive line. I remember Ed Kratz was on, I think last week, and brought up Dalton Risner. He was thinking more guard. A lot of people have said, Tyler Steen, and the fact that he played tackle in college, why can't he play tackle? They want him to be a right guard, and he's right. A rookie. They don't want to wait. They don't want to cloud his head up. And if it gets down to the 53 and there's injuries and he's got to kick back out to tackle, he can do it. But you want him focused on learning the right guard position. So you bring in a guy that's going to be obviously a 1-year veteran minimum deal, like so many of these players they signed earlier in the process. And by the way, if something clicks for these younger players, they can just cut them and move on. It's just an insurance policy. And but I would bet, if I were a betting man right now before camp starts, I'd say he's probably going to be on the team. But if something clicks for one of these younger guys and they say, you know what, he is ready, then you can just move on that quickly.
Kelly has played all across the offensive line, and just correctly stated earlier, center is the only position he really hasn't played in his decade-plus year in the NFL career. Your opinion as to what the Eagles are looking at him as? There's going to be the competition at right guard between Jurgens and Steen. I don't think he factors into that. I think it was Eddie Kratz last week. We're mentioning Kratz a lot, who said, hey, you don't necessarily just lock it into those two guys. Yeah, I'm locking it into just those two guys. And now with the addition of Dennis Kelly, I'm still locking it into just those two guys. But do they look at Kelly more as a backup tackle than a guard? My estimation was always that I thought he was a little bit better guard than he is a tackle. How do you think the Eagles if emergency happens and he's their best option coming off the bench for any position, what do the Eagles hope that position is?
Well, his best position is right tackle. The vast majority he's had, he's played everywhere, as you mentioned, but the vast majority of his snaps are at right tackle in his career. But he's played second would be left tackle. So I think the Eagles are looking at him as a swing tackle more, as I mentioned. They're not comfortable with the depth beyond Jordan Mailata, more left tackle than right tackle, because they know Driscoll can handle right tackle, at least to a competent degree. I would say if you're looking for the curveball, Dennis is like 6'8", and he's almost 6'9", so he can play guard, but you almost don't want to play guard because he's too tall. And it can become an issue for the quarterback. Now, there's a lot in recent seasons. There's a lot. Used to be back in the day, guards would be 6'2" for that reason. Now there's a lot of Landon's tall.
Right, Landon's pretty damn big himself.
They've gone, but he's super tall. So it's a little bit kind of an issue, but he can do it. But he's here as a backup swing tackle. I think if you're looking for a curveball, it does enable, especially, he can play right tackle, and that's what Driscoll can play. He's a better left tackle than Driscoll. Not a great left tackle, even as a backup. He's not Andre Dillard, but he's been a better left tackle than Jack Driscoll, and you feel more competent. If you want to go back to the traditional mode of handling it and just have one swing tackle instead of doing piecemealing it left side, right side, then you could start putting Driscoll in the right guard conversation. But I think that only happens if Cam Jurgens isn't ready and Tyler Steen isn't ready. So it gives you, I don't want to bring up a Sam Hinkie word, but I'll bring it up. It gives you more optionality with Dennis Kelly here. You can do a bunch of different things, and you can be more comfortable moving Jack Driscoll around if you have to.
Safety net is what it seems that Kelly is coming in here for his second stint with the Philadelphia Eagles. John McMullen, Jody McDonald hanging out with you. Got plenty more to cover, Eagles related and NFL related. Like I said, a couple of moves around the league, and the Eagles fell in line with them. And one ex-Eagle kind of putting a rip on the city of Philadelphia and the fans and the people.
Yeah, what a shock.
Johnny's favorite, CJGJ, once again, opening mouth and inserting foot.
By the way, I like CJ, but I know how he is, and he's gonna pop off at times.
Oh, please remind me, John. You got a way to describe CJGJ that I thought was dead on point. Needed to be coached or high maintenance or
he's
something.
He's very high maintenance. He's very high.
Maybe it was high maintenance. Yeah.
And Marcus Hayes wrote a column about Denard Wilson's impact on CJ Gardner-Johnson. And maybe Denard not being here, maybe it's a silver lining that you didn't get CJ back and you were able to get James Bradbury back instead. Probably a little bit of a silver lining there.
He'll be high maintenance in Detroit for the Lions this year. It'd be interesting to watch. Now I'm looking forward to the Eagles playing the Lions at some point this year. Oh, that would be the postseason since they don't play during the regular season. Showdown with CJGJ coming back here to Philadelphia. I just hope Denzel Mims doesn't come back and make a big catch.
Yeah, he made a shot at Philly too. People forget that.
Yeah. Back in the day. So the Lions Eagles could be an interesting playoff matchup if it's here in Philadelphia by the time we get to January. What we're getting to next here on Birds 365 is the appearance from our buddy John Stolnis from Bleeding Green Nation. He's guest number one on this last summer Thursday of the year on Birds 365.